Welcome in to studio. That's not studio, is it? Welcome into Couch Day Heffrey, where we roll along with our top 10 rankings for this year's NFL Draft, the 2021 NFL Draft. Today I'm going to hit you with my linebackers, okay? I'm going to give you the top 10. And somebody told me on the last video that I should switch up the order. Instead of going 1 through 10, I should go 10 through 1, sort of build the excitement. You know what I'm saying? Now, most of the people who check out my stuff, or a lot of the people, are Cowboy fans. So I actually think linebacker is super relevant because if I'm the Cowboys, after this season, I want out of Jalen Smith's contract. I wouldn't pick up Leighton Vander Esch's fifth-year option, which they have to make that decision on next month, because one can't stay on the field and one just isn't worth it. So I would be in the market, okay? I would not be surprised if the Cowboys are using a day 2 pick on linebacker and maybe pick another linebacker somewhere in this draft. So I'm going to start with my top 10. Honorable mentions: Chaz Surratt, North Carolina; Cameron McGrone, Michigan; Justin Hilliard, Ohio State. Those are numbers 11, 12, and 13. Linebacker number 10, I actually just watched last night. His name is Ernest Jones, number 53, South Carolina. He's 6'1.5", he's 230 pounds, 33 and 3/8 inch arms, 4'7", 240, 38.5-inch vertical. He's a 2-year starter, 86 tackles last year, 5 tackles for loss, 1 sack. He had 5 passes defended in 2019. So he's not tall, but he's long. And you can tell that with his tackle radius and his ability to shed blockers. He does a really good job keeping himself square, moving laterally, tracking ball carriers, good ball awareness, both against the run and the pass. He's not a hyper athlete. He's not a great change of direction guy, so his coverage might be limited, but I think he'll be a solid run player who at least has the awareness in the pass game. So that is linebacker number 10, Ernest Jones, South Carolina. Linebacker 9 is Pete Werner, Ohio State. And I'm going to be honest, when I first watched his tape, I was like, kind of boring, just kind of a steady player, not all that impressive in any way, shape, or form. His athletic testing made me kind of revisit that because he tested as a really good athlete for an NFL linebacker. So you have to go back and give him more credit for something that I didn't think on tape he looked great at. And that pops Pete Werner, he's a solid player. He's asked to make very basic drops. But you're not going to find a glaring weakness in Pete Werner's game. So I think that's potentially an NFL starter. So he is linebacker number 9. Linebacker number 8 could easily be linebacker number 10. You're betting on some upside here. Dylan Moses at Alabama. He's been banged up. He missed a season, but a couple of years ago, he was considered a potential first-round pick. So when I watch him, I do have questions about his ability to process and know what's happening on plays, both in front of him and behind him. I'm really just super high on watching the way physically that he moves. I like that body for current NFL linebackers. And so I think there's potential there. And so Dylan Moses. Now, those are all third-round guys for me. Then we get to linebacker number 7 in this year's class. And linebacker 7, you're going to see my big old hand because I want to get through to my notes as I talk about these different guys. Linebacker number 7 is Baron Browning at Ohio State, 6'2", 237. And what jumps out at you immediately is the athleticism. Guys that, he's got juice. He's bursty. He's fast. He's powerful. The processing, I think, is kind of hit or miss with him, but he's sort of a perfectly built and the athleticism of a linebacker that you want, and he does some really good work off of the edge in terms of rushing the passer. He does some things in coverage, just not necessarily from a traditional linebacker spot. A lot of times he'll be lined up outside of the box, but I've watched him cover the flats, watched him cover a wheel route from an inside wide receiver. In the screen game, seen him work through traffic for a tackle. It's just a lot of that stuff is from a non-traditional spot because Tuff Borland and Pete Werner are their normal inside linebackers. He sort of plays an overhang position. But he's good. He's a good pass rusher. He shows some good coverage stuff. I like him. That's Baron Browning, Ohio State. And linebacker number 6 is going to be Jabril Cox out of LSU. I actually don't think he's a very good run player, but in today's NFL, you really are. You're looking for guys that, if you're great in coverage, that's a big advantage in today's NFL as a linebacker. And Jabril Cox, that's where he's going to make his money. 3 interceptions, 5 passes defended last year. He's a North Dakota State transfer to LSU, and he is, 6'4", 230, and it's the coverage stuff. You can watch him. He can cover tight ends, no problem. He's athletic enough that is an easy chore for him. So you watch him in coverage, you watch him get his hands on the football. He doesn't have a bunch of thump. To my eye, he's not a really twitchy athlete, but he's a good enough and smooth athlete that he can really cover. He's long-limbed, he's rangy, he can carry tight ends across the field, up the field, he'll undercutting balls to get interceptions. So Jabril Cox coverage is going to be where he shines. That is linebacker number 6. Linebacker number 5 is Jalen Davis at Kentucky. These are all second-round grades here. Jamin is 6'4". He's over 230 pounds. I like a lot of things about him. At his size, he's an incredible athlete. He tested in they do something called the relative athletic score. My guy at MathBomb on Twitter, and he is essentially in the 90-some-odd percentile of guys coming into the league that play linebacker in terms of athleticism. He's very good as a run player, great in pursuit. He's only a 1-year starter, but he's a really good run defender who's an incredible athlete. He doesn't miss tackles when he's playing forward. His coverage stuff is very basic for the most part, but that's where you're just projecting the size, the fluidity, the speed, that when you ask him to do more than just drop to a basic spot, that he can develop in that area and potentially be good at it. So he's actually kind of the opposite of Jabril Cox. Jabril Cox, great in coverage, not a very good run player. Davis is a really good run player, but he has the physical skill set to be a good coverage guy. You just haven't seen a ton. Because again, 1-year starter and wasn't asked to do a ton in terms of defending the pass. Linebacker 4 is Xavier Collins at Tulsa. And Xavier Collins, I'll be honest, part of what kind of hurt him for me is before I had seen him, I'd heard so much about him, about what a freak show he is. And Xavier Collins is 6'4", 260. He's a really big dude. I just think some of the things that you picture in traditional linebackers aren't necessarily him. Like 260, I'm thinking he's going to be tossing offensive linemen around and all that, and he's not. He's more of a speed and finesse player than he is a power player. But just his length, just how big and long he is, allows him to make plays in the passing game, although like a lot of these linebackers, most of his stuff is just very basic drops. But when quarterbacks try to go over him or give him a chance, he'll get his hands on the football. So he makes plays in that area. He can rush the passer. He's a really good pass rusher. Just as a run player, I was surprised that he really needs to be clean to make big plays, where he's unblocked and he can chase it down. But huge dude, very athletic, ability to rush the passer, did get his hands on the football in coverage, just mostly because of his size. Xavier Collins, Tulsa, linebacker number, 4? Linebacker number 3, Nick Bolton, Missouri. Now he's 5'11", 230 pounds, runs a 4.6, so you're going to be like, okay, so he's a little undersized and he doesn't fly to make up for it, but he's a baller. He sees everything so well. He's a 2-year starter with massive production. The speed is good. The quickness and change of direction on tape are good. When you measure it athletically with his pro day, you would say, oh, he's actually not great at that stuff. But he's incredibly dependable. I've seen him cover running backs that are lined up out wide and run posts. He's a thumper. His reactions when a play is happening are immediate and they're right. Nick Bolton is a dude that you can tell studies and he knows what's coming and he reacts immediately. He's so rock solid. I love Nick Bolton. Tackle for loss on Kadarius Toney, one of the toughest dudes to tackle in the Florida game on a jet sweep. He's not the fastest, but he plays fast. He's good. Nick Bolton's good. Linebacker number 2 is Micah Parsons, Penn State. Athletic freak show. I don't believe that he has what Nick Bolton has in terms of ability to process and always be right and get your run fits right and just be incredibly reliable and intelligent at everything that's happening. But he's still pretty young in linebacker years. What you're getting from Micah Parsons is you're getting a really big dude that is freak show athletic and made a ton of plays in the run game and can rush the passer. So with him, it's a lot of, he was a really good college linebacker and his potential is incredible. That's Micah Parsons. And my number one linebacker is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at Notre Dame, unless you want to consider him a strong safety. And either way, he's a first-round player to me because he brings you all the good things you want from a linebacker and covers like a DB. So I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I don't have a perfect comp. It's Jamal Adams-ish, but Jamal Adams can't cover. You know, in college, he could cover on the underneath stuff and blow people up, but that's Koramoah. He hits like a freight train. He runs like the wind. He can cover. He can rush. He's a playmaker. He is the modern linebacker to me. And if you want to play him at strong safety, that's fine. He'll be great. If you want to play him at linebacker, just make sure you get some big boys up front because I don't want him having to deal with offensive linemen getting free to the second level and blocking him. But there you have it, top 10 linebackers. If you believe I missed your guy, leave it in the comments at youtube.com/Jeff Cavanaugh. Go ahead and subscribe there. And check back 1053thefan.com every day. I'll get all these rankings up. You'll see my complete board at some point. I put it up not too long ago on the YouTube page. You can find it. But there's still names being added, and it's still being updated, so I'm on it. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool to everybody. I love you. Bye.